What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video, and we will talk about big updates on the Romeo Lavia and Levi Colwill transfer situations. But first I wanted to congratulate Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott on winning the European Championship with the England under 21 side. It was a really dramatic final. I just watched the highlights because I wasn't at home when the game was played yesterday evening, and Curtis Jones was credited with the goal, but it was the flukiest, luckiest goal from an England perspective, because it was a free kick which got deflected off Curtis Jones's back or head, I'm not even sure. It hits Curtis Jones, the goalkeeper goes the other way, it goes into the far corner of the net, and then England huffed and puffed and they really played the ugly side of the game very well, restricting Spain to very few chances. But then the drama came in the 95th minute. Levi Colwill was judged to kick the Spanish striker Abel Ruiz's leg. It was a small foul, but VAR spotted it. The referee has given it after looking at the VAR monitor. But then James Stafford, the goalkeeper, saved the penalty from Abel Ruiz, and then he saved the rebound as well. Absolutely crazy, dramatic end. In the 99th minute, I think, was the double save, and England are European champions. Congratulations to Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott. They come back to Liverpool pre-season with a trophy. Brilliant achievement. And David Lynch has posted a major update on the Romeo Lavia transfer situation. So there are currently two roadblocks in the way of signing Romeo Lavia in front of Liverpool. The first is a feeling that to be able to offer sufficient playing time to convince any new signing of moving to Anfield, it may be helpful to sanction maybe selling a midfielder. But of course, room for compromise always exists, and the big debate currently among the Liverpool fan base is, if Liverpool sell a midfielder, who should we sell? I think it should 100% be Jordan Henderson. Thiago, even though he is on £220,000 per week, yes, Henderson is on lower wages, on £140,000 per week, but Henderson at 33 years old, he wasn't even good enough last season, where so many times Henderson pulled absolute shocking performances on the pitch, and also he was ran past so many times. Liverpool's midfield was run through so many times because of the poor form of Fabinho and because of the poor form of Henderson, and Henderson doesn't have the athleticism anymore, in my opinion, and doesn't have the work rate, the intensity, the dynamism that's needed at Liverpool. But because he's Liverpool captain and because we have given him a long contract, he still has like 2 or 3 years left on his contract. That means that Liverpool could actually sell Henderson for a bit of money, and he could go to a mid-table Premier League club and be a regular starter. Jurgen Klopp should tell Henderson that he should look for another club because he's not going to play regularly, and then reinvest that money into signing Romeo Lavia. And he has absolutely a lot of talent, Lavia, and he's a lot younger than Henderson. He has a lot more energy, a lot more dynamism. Physically, he's in a lot better shape. Of course, the second issue is the 50 million price tag that Southampton slapped on Romeo Lavia, but I think that's just to try and get as much money from the Lavia deal as possible, because there is no way Southampton actually seriously expect anyone to pay 50 million pounds for Lavia when Southampton just got relegated, and they could use even 35-40 million pounds to strengthen their team in their push for promotion next season. And I think Romeo Lavia, out of Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool, he has actually the best chance to play a lot of minutes at Liverpool, because Liverpool only have Fabinho as their out-and-out defensive midfielder in front of him. At Chelsea, he will have to contest against Moises Caicedo and whoever else Chelsea decide to sign. And Arsenal just signed Declan Rice. They still have Thomas Partey, they still have Elneny, so they have a lot of defensive midfielders. At Liverpool, yes, we have Fabinho and Bajcetic, but Bajcetic is 18 years old. He's even younger than Lavia. So I think that Lavia could play a lot of minutes minutes. He could start in the Europa League regularly, he could start in the League Cup, he could start in some Premier League games when Fabinho needs a rest. And I definitely think we should keep Thiago because he's an absolutely fantastic player. Henderson is not. Henderson is way past his best, and that's when you should sell a player, not when he's not even good enough to start for you anymore. And I think the majority of us here, the Liverpool fans, among this brilliant community that we have built on my channel, I think we can agree Henderson is not good enough to start anymore. And for him to sit on the bench, earning £140,000 per week and play here and there some games, but for the majority of the season Henderson should be sitting on the bench, I think we should move him on and we should get 20-30 million pounds for Henderson because he's still an England international, who is good enough to start for a mid-table side who is not fighting to win the Premier League, and Liverpool should reinvest that money into Romeo Lavia. But there is a dangerous narrative emerging, and I think the owners are pushing this with this PR spin that Bajcetic, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, they are ready to make the next step. And yes, Curtis Jones is definitely ready to make the next step. He's showed many times during the European Under-21 Championships, as well as in the last 2 or 3 months of the season, that he is a much improved player. He's much better than in previous years, but he still isn't like the top quality that we want. And also, he's not a defensive midfielder. Bajcetic is the only cover for Fabinho, and if Fabinho's form suffers or he suffers an injury, will we seriously rest Liverpool's season on Bajcetic? Henderson can play defensive midfield as well, but as I said, I don't think he has the body and he has the physicality to cope with the physical demands of the Premier League. Remember, the Premier League is the fastest, most physically demanding, most ruthless, most brutal league in the world, and Henderson is 33 years old, and not that many players have done amazing things in the Premier League as a defensive midfielder at that age, when you have to cope with relentless, really lightning quick counter-attacks against Liverpool, and so many times Liverpool's midfield was bypassed. People ran through Liverpool's midfield because Henderson was caught up the pitch, or Henderson wasn't fast enough to track back, or Henderson wasn't physical enough to bully some of these opposition players. That's just my opinion, but feel free to disagree with me in the comments below and let me know. Would you sell Henderson? Would you sell Thiago? Would you sell Fabinho? Or are you happy with how Liverpool's midfield is? We have 9 players, so on paper it looks fine. We had 8 players previously at the beginning of last season, and look how that turned out to be. Yes, Liverpool moved on a lot of injury-prone players in Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain and James Milner as well, but even with those players in the squad, Liverpool needed midfielders. So yes, McAllister and Szoboszlai, they are brilliant signings. They will be playing a lot more than Keita or Ox. They will be available for a lot more time. But Liverpool still need to solve this issue that we have been ran through too easily and too quickly and too many times last season. So if Liverpool don't sign a defensive midfielder, we are basically betting our whole season and our whole successful season on Fabinho's form. If Fabinho returns to pre-last season form, then Liverpool will be there or thereabouts in the title race in the Europa League. But if Fabinho's form suffers, or if he shows physical deficiencies and decline physically, then Liverpool will be in massive trouble. And that's why I think we should train and mold and develop Fabinho's successor already next season, and that should be Romeo Lavia, or whoever Liverpool think is good enough to cover for Fabinho. That might restrict Bajcetic's minutes, but I'm not sure how ready Bajcetic is. That's the big question. James Pearce also held a Q&A where he said that signing another centre-back is vital, especially if Jurgen Klopp is going to persevere with a system that asks so much of the right-sided centre-back in terms of covering the space vacated by Trent Alexander-Arnold when he's bombing forward. Van Dijk wasn't at his best last season, but he was also regularly left exposed by Liverpool's glaring weaknesses in midfield. I expect Van Dijk to come back stronger next season. As for Joe Gomez, it's hard to build rhythm when you don't get regular minutes. He's homegrown, he's still relatively young, and he can cover 2 positions, centre back and right back. So Liverpool will not sell Gomez this summer. Finding Matip's successor is the key. Sign a centre-back and 2 more midfielders, and Liverpool should be well equipped for the 23-24 season. I think this was written before we signed Szoboszlai. So sign a centre-back and a defensive midfielder, and then Liverpool will be fine. And the centre-back should be a young, hungry, physically brilliant centre-back who is good enough to cover for Matip when he inevitably gets injured. And also, Noni Madueke, after winning the European Championships, while still on the pitch celebrating, he did, I think, an Instagram live or something like that, and he pulled Levi Colwill to the phone camera and in front of the phone camera, and he was saying, look at the comments, everybody wants to see both of us back at Chelsea, so I will make sure to get you back at Chelsea. And Levi Colwill was like, no, I'm not interested in that. Basically, his body language showed that he was really uncomfortable with that, and that little Noni Madueke basically kidnapped him a little bit, putting his arm around his shoulder, around his neck. So Levi Colwill basically got out of Noni Madueke's arms, and he was like, no. He was like, his body language was saying like, no, I'm not going back to Chelsea. Are you crazy? Like, that club is in a mess. That club is an absolute chaos. And even Mauricio Pochettino said that he wants to sit down with Colwill and he wants to hear what his thoughts and plans are. And after he listens to Colwill, then he will say to him, he will tell him what Pochettino's plans and hopes are for Colwill. But if Colwill says, I want to move on, I don't want to play at Chelsea because this club is a mess, I want to play at another club, then Liverpool would seriously be having a really big chance of signing him, in my opinion. And James Pearce also revealed that Jörg Schmadtke, the new sporting director, his contract basically covers the whole summer transfer window, and then if Liverpool and Schmadtke are both ready with the relationship and with how it went, then his contract will be extended. It's a pragmatic move, as James Pearce described. The ideal scenario, of course, would have been to appoint a long-term sporting director, but Liverpool wanted to, of course, recruit the kind of candidate they were initially looking for, but they couldn't. It's a small pool at the highest level, and the best sporting directors are already in top jobs. So Liverpool decided to seek a short-term solution, and that makes more sense than giving a long contract to someone you aren't completely sure about. It buys them more time to consider their options. And basically it was Jurgen Klopp's agent who recommended Schmadtke to FSG, the Liverpool owners, and talks went well. Jurgen Klopp's agent is called Mark Koszyczke, and the feeling was that his connections and personality would complement what they already had in senior management positions and recruitment positions at Liverpool. And James Pearce was also asked, is Jurgen Klopp happy with the current owners? Is he happy with the ownership situation? And James Pearce said Jurgen Klopp has a close relationship with FSG president Mike Gordon. Basically, he's in charge of the day-to-day running of the football club, Mike Gordon. And Jurgen Klopp admitted towards the end of the last season, or the end of the last summer transfer window, that Jurgen Klopp would like to take more risks in the transfer market. He would like to sign maybe 1 or 2 more players and see if they come good, see if Liverpool can mold them and develop them and grow them. So basically, if it was down to Jurgen Klopp, he would have signed an out-and-out midfielder last summer if the money was available. But that's FSG's fault that they didn't make the money available to Jurgen Klopp, and it's FSG's fault that Liverpool missed out on the top 4 as well, because I'm convinced that if we had another midfielder, a new signing, who was available for like 75-80% of the games, then Liverpool would have got 5 to 10 more points, and that would have been the difference between, Liverpool finishing 5th and 3rd. And Jurgen Klopp thinks that he doesn't need to spend as big as his rivals, because he already won the Premier League, the Champions League, ahead of far richer clubs with far more resources, and Jurgen Klopp thinks that he can do it again. But that's the problem. You can't do this every season, and Liverpool should get back Jurgen Klopp with more money because he deserves it. He absolutely earned every trust from the owners, the supporters and everybody, because no other manager could have done what Jurgen Klopp did at Liverpool, winning the Premier League out of the best team in Premier League history, probably Man City, and one of the best teams in English football history, alongside Liverpool, by the way, because Liverpool is up there in my opinion as well. Also winning the Champions League, getting to 3 Champions League finals in 5 years is an absolutely magnificent achievement, considering Jurgen Klopp has a net spend of 25 to 30 million per season. It looks like Thiago and Joao Matip will run down their contracts at Liverpool, so this will be their final season, so savor every moment that you see Thiago in a Liverpool shirt, because he might not play another season after this one at Liverpool. And it makes sense to let Thiago run down his contract if he keeps getting injured, but I would still, if he can be managed more carefully and he can play the majority of the season, like 40 games maybe, then I would still consider giving him a contract extension, because there is just nobody like him. Thiago is such a unique bowler of a midfielder. It's an absolute joy to watch him play, and he makes Liverpool better. So I think we should manage his minutes. I said this many times, play him once a week, carefully pick the games where he plays, and in the other games, rest him. Don't even put him on the bench, so he can recover properly in the mind and in the body. We should do the same with Fabinho as well. That's why it would be brilliant if we could sign another defensive midfielder, because it would give more rest to Fabinho and Thiago, and they could play in the really important games, which will be the Premier League games next season, and also of course the latter stages of the Europa League. Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract expires in 2 years, just like Van Dijk's and Salah's contract. So Liverpool also will give Trent a new contract extension in the coming months, I expect that. The big question is, should we extend the contract of Van Dijk and Salah? I think we should extend the contract when they have like 1 year left, so we will see what kind of players they are, and if they get injured or not very often. So that's going to be very interesting as well, how Liverpool navigate this contract situation. And that's it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye.